G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Tamara, thanks for making the time to talk with us today. I always enjoy talking with other people who work with small business owners, and we were mentioning before how similar a lot of the issues are. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot that comes out of this conversation that will be useful to our audience on this podcast. But why don't I start off by getting you to tell us a little bit about who you are and how you explain what you do?
No worries. And thanks so much for having me. And hello to all of your listeners out there. So my name's Tamara Simon, and I am the speaker, author and coach, better known as the Bob the Builder for small business. So can she fix it? Yes, she can. And so through that, I help owners navigate the complexity and challenges in their business by solving the frustrating problems, by simplifying overwhelming systems, and supporting them in times of uncertainty and confusion, so that they build a simple, profitable business they actually love. And as I said, I'm an author, so I've written 2 books, one for small business owners. And while I sent that off to the editors, I then rewrote that for registered training organisations because I've had a lot of experience in that. And it's called The 5 Little Business Pigs. So it uses the analogy of the 3 little pigs fairy tale, because that's how we build our businesses, from straw to stick to brick. But when I was writing it, I discovered there's 2 others. There's the Reno and the Rundown. And so my book explores what those business houses look like, who the pesky wolves are that keep trying to huff and puff at our doors, and then outline my 5-step process to get clear on your business people and systems, and then strategies to go from straw to stick, stick to brick, or rundown back to, something that's actually workable as part of that. And then from a speaking point of view, I talk to many small business audiences, whether that's associations or franchises or other organisations, and talk really on 3 areas all around helping you build a simple, profitable business you love. So one around my book, one around develop lots of topics around navigating challenges, those things that frustrate us and overwhelm us in our businesses. And because I love sport, I have a lot of topics around the sporting insights, because there's so much we can learn from sport around leadership and playing roles and all of that. So I like to bring my other passion into some of those topics as well, to see how we can grow businesses from those lessons.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds great. So what are the typical customers that you work with, and what is it that causes them to pick up the phone or send that email and say, hey, I really need some help from Tamara today? What's usually going on for them?
So probably from my coaching perspective, and because I've got very diverse experience and things like that, the pain points that my clients will ring about, or they'll pick up the phone, is I'm frustrated, I'm confused, and I'm overwhelmed. Because oftentimes with small business owners, as I'm sure you would know and see as well, is that they're really good at something. They're really good at that, what Michael Gerber talks about in the E-Myth, the technician, really good at accountancy or websites or whatever it might be, but they don't always have the experience for the business aspects, and you've actually got to do that stuff as well. And so when they're trying to be everything to everyone, it just doesn't work. And so a lot of my clients are, let's say they've got that 5 to 30 staff and they're struggling to manage growth. So what that means is that what used to work really well doesn't work anymore. Might have worked with a couple of people, and the team used to be getting along really well, but now all of a sudden there's 5, 10, 15 staff, all these other dynamics happening. And their turnover sometimes can be pretty good because they're in growth, but the cash flow is not. So, all they feel like is I'm doing lots and getting nowhere. And so how can we actually help and look? And what happens is that those foundations that we know we need to have haven't been built as sturdy, using my house analogy, as they should have. And that's natural because, we just get a bit of money in and then we keep doing and doing and doing, but we don't always put all the systems that we need in. We don't often stop and reflect and make sure that, we're marketing to our right target market versus marketing to everyone, because everyone's not your client. So they're usually the challenges that the coaching clients that come to me initially are facing of I know something's wrong, Tamara, but I don't know what it is, or I know what's wrong, don't know how to fix it, or I'm want to take that next step or try and manage this growth, and I need some support and a sounding board because I think I'm on the right track, but I've got no one to download to and no one to bounce ideas off. So, they usually fall into those areas of, frustrations and things like that.
Okay. So when one of these frustrated, confused, and overwhelmed business owners comes to you, what is the process you take them through to take away their frustration, confusion, and make them feel underwhelmed instead of overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that wasn't a good way to put it.
No, but it's true, right? So my objective with anyone is I need to understand what's going on. Right. And we've got to try and get some quick wins because, as you just said, how can we make people feel a little bit better so that they get a bit of momentum to go, okay, I can take the next bit.
Yeah.
And most of the time when people come to me, they can't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
And when we're so close to our own businesses, that's why we all, need to have a coach. That's why I've got a coach, so that someone else can sort of break through that massive to-do list and go, okay, this is what the first step of what you need to do, and this is how you do it, or this is happening because of this, and let's try and fix what that is. So the first thing that I'm doing is really listening to find out where in the probably foundation bricks are things going wrong. Is it really them initially? Have they not necessarily stepped up and embraced their role as the small business owner and everything that comes with that? Is it really about their time? Are they focusing in the right areas, or are they just, being the hare, not the tortoise? And as a result, we're just running and running and running. Have they got some simple systems in place, or is that what's causing things not to work? Are they just struggling to deal with their team? And they think they've got problem children who don't want to play nice in the sandpit, but often that's because the systems aren't there. There's not clarity of roles, or are they trying to grow their business, but because they haven't clearly identified who their ideal client or customer is, we've got this scattergun approach. So really through a little bit of questioning, I'm trying to work out, what those issues are. And then generally I say, okay, if I had a magic wand and I could just fix one thing for you or help you, get back on track with one thing, what's that going to be? And I can tell you most of the time it's time. And so that's where we start, because all of those things are wonderful, but if we don't look at how people are actually spending their day, because we can't create more time, we can only focus it better, then none of the other stuff matters.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And certainly at Grow a Small Business, we offer a range of solutions, and I guess we kind of summarize them into three groups. There's grow you, grow your team, and grow your business, which is very similar to how you just explained it when you're diagnosing the issue. And I think if I heard you correctly, you're saying often the diagnosis is, you know what? Let's not worry too much about the business just yet. Let's not worry too much about the team just yet. Let's get you sorted out, and the rest can then start to follow from there. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think, it sounds really simple, but the biggest problem that I help people with initially is just how they structure their day and link that with their to-do list. And once you show it, people go, oh, wish I thought, but again, when we're so in it, we don't to know which trigger to pull as part of that, or if we're on the right track as doing those particular activities. So yeah, fine-tuning our time a little bit, even just a little bit of it while the rest goes to chaos, helps get the business and everything else back on track.
Are you struggling to find time to work on your business? Or is your health and relationships out of balance? Lost confidence, or are your weeks filled with fear? Our free 10-day Transform Your Performance online course shows you how to unlock at least 5 hours a week. We start with the secret to guaranteed success, and with over 100 lessons and free tools, you will become more focused, productive, and feel more in control of your business, health, and relationships. growsmallbusiness.com.
Slight side note, just, I've obviously asked about the typical clients that you work with and the process that you take them through. I mean, you mentioned you've got quite a bit of experience in the RTO industry, registered training organisations. Can I just ask a sideline question for a minute? What do you notice is unique or different about businesses in that industry versus all the other industries that you help and support?
So I'll use the quote on the back of my book. They're too focused on compliance, right? So what I always say to RTOs, and I've got 30 years in that sector, running them and administering them and auditing them and all that stuff, which is why I wrote the 5 Little RTO Pigs, because it's the first and only business book for that sector. We've got to integrate compliance into how they run their business. Right. And again, they are the technicians. They're really good at training and all that stuff, but they're often not very good at actually running businesses. And it's an industry where, and the quote I say is, if you don't like compliance and don't like change, then don't work for an RTO or be one, because that's the space that you enter and play in. So I certainly that's one of the challenges for RTOs, is that compliance is everything. And then there's training. You go, yeah, but all the other stuff, and that's why they're not necessarily running profitable businesses. They're just filling spaces with a warm body, and that's a whole side issue that I can certainly talk to you.
And I just asked because I've only worked with a few RTOs over my journey. And one of my questions initially was, would you say you had strong systems? And they said, oh yeah, have we got systems? Oh yeah. But when I looked at it, all the systems were based around their requirement for government compliance, which is great. And you need systems for that, but there were no other systems in place for marketing, financial management,
HR,
people
all of
management.
that stuff.
Yeah. So they were very bogged down in one particular area. I guess the other thing, just from my own personal experience, which is not a lot, I should add, but I also noticed, just given the nature of them working in the government space, their cash flow was very, very lumpy. So they'd have big chunks of money come through and then nothing for long periods. So look, there are plenty of other businesses with similar challenges, but I guess, just reflecting on the RTO space for a minute, that seems to be some common themes. So
yeah, look, it is, but again, if we use them as an example, we could easily take out other industry sectors that have got compliance, and the same thing applies.
very true. Yeah.
Because business is business, people are people. All that changes is context of industry sectors.
Yeah.
But it still comes down to, are you actually holistically looking at your business and everything that fits in it, or are you just band-aiding as you go, reacting to everything and everyone, and as a result there's just stuff everywhere, versus a really great business that does work, that people are happy to be part of and is profitable. Even if that's $1, I don't care,
Yeah, well,
profitable.
Hopefully we can do a bit better than $1, but
Well, that's
at
right.
least as a start, it's better than negative. So
correct.
So can you give us a bit of a case study of a business that you've worked with, and talk a little bit about, I guess, where they were at when you started with them and where you were able to get them to?
Sure. So, one of my favorite examples actually is when I worked many years ago with a group of building designers. And there was a husband and wife team, and they had probably about 10 staff at that stage, and really great people. But what was happening was there wasn't really clarity of roles. People were walking in and out of people's offices all the time, so lots of interruptions, disrespect, but not really meaning to be like that. And again, the team just wasn't humming as well as what it could. The business was doing really well, but they were also finding that there was a lot of duplication in systems and all of this sort of stuff. And that just leads to frustration. So when I came in with the business, I had the initial meeting with a husband and wife, and they were just sort of, just talking generally. Well, this is happening and that's happening. And I said, oh, what made you, reach out to me? And said, well, we've heard that you've worked with building designers, so that was a good thing. We don't really know how you can help us, but we think you're the right person. And then, the work ensued, which was great. And at the end, that's what they said, because sometimes we just don't know what we need. We just need to download, and we have someone else go, oh, what about this? And you go, that's the missing piece. So with this team, though, we just needed to reset some things. As I said, the base of it was really good, but we had to get people, back on track and working better together. So part of that strategy was what I call my past workshop that I do with teams, So I would do an interview with every single staff member, including the owners, basically asking them what's working, what's not, what would you change if you were the owner, and what's one thing that we can do to help make your role easier, better, etc. And then from that, I then ran a workshop with all the team, including the owners, and really put down, all the stuff that had happened in the past. Because we need to actually, when there's frustration and overwhelm and all that stuff going on, we just need to air it and recognize it and go, okay, we're not going to get into blame about why it's happened this long or why we haven't dealt with it. Let's just acknowledge this is the stuff. And let's then draw a line in the sand and say, okay, right, here's the new boundaries, here's the new expectations, here's the new things we're going to do to improve these things. And I gave them strategies to do that, including my little interruption toy, which is a way of doing focus and time management, a whole range of other things. But once we were able to air things, it's amazing how quickly people can move on, because they are able to see that finally they're being heard. And whilst you mightn't be able to implement every change that staff might want, if you're able to do bits that help their role, then they were able to get back on track. Because people, but oftentimes owners will avoid those things because they go, oh, Tamara, I don't like conflict. Okay, well, no one does. But if you let things go, then what happens a lot of times is you'll lose good staff because they go, I'm so tired of such and such, them, getting away with it or whatever it might be. So over a period of time, I helped simplify their systems. We got lots of clarity in roles. We got the team leaders stepping up into their roles versus everyone going to the owner all the time. So a whole range of things. And it's just amazing how you can do very simple, if you like, intervention and changes that are fun, that are long, will last a long time, to get staff back on track and to get owners going, you know what, yeah, I have to own a little bit of this myself. And then you can look at systems and all of those type of things as part of improving the business, but you got to get people talking to each other first.
Yeah, great. Fantastic.
Thank you.
So if there was one thing that a business owner could take away from our conversation today, what would you say that is, at risk of oversimplifying all the great stuff we've just covered?
Look, it's all about how you set up your week and how you focus your time, right? So please don't start your day looking at emails. Be making sure that you're doing your most important thing to get on your, what I call your money train, grow your business, and to build your systems. And I get that when you are doing everything, you go, I don't have time to do that. So my strategy is 15 minutes a day. Just start there. right? Just say, okay, I'm going to look at our induction process for our staff, or I'm going to look at what our website is to make sure that our customers can access our products really easily and it's not clunky. And you just keep chipping away in that 15-minute block that you allocate in your diary as a not negotiable meeting until that system's done. And then you move on to the next one. You do the same thing with your money train. People go, but 15 minutes tomorrow. And I go, yeah, but that's my math's right. That's an hour and a quarter in the week that you weren't doing last week. And eventually, when you look at some other things in your diary and how you rearrange your time, those blocks will get bigger. But in the beginning, just start with that, because systems is how you grow your business. It's as simple as that. Even if the business is you, systems is the foundations that you need.
Right. Fantastic. Well, Tamara, thanks so much for the chat today. If people are interested in what we've been talking about, how can they find out a bit more about you?
Sure. So they can just head to my website. So that's tamarasimon.com.au. They can book a free chat. There's a button on the website. They can head to my book page. They can download 3 free chapters as part of that. And yeah, get in touch, because I'd love to help them, because every owner should have a simple, profitable business they actually love.
Brilliant way to put it. And I couldn't agree more. Thanks again, Tamara. Really appreciate the time.
My pleasure.
We're getting some great iTunes reviews. For those listening, please pop over to your podcast app and leave us a review.